What are you doing?
I think she thinks you cute.
Stop it.
It's probably your pretty eyes.
Is one of your life goals to ruin my life goals?
Nope, I don't see that on here.
I've come up with a new plan that's gonna help me accomplish two of my goals at the same time.
How you gonna do that?
Well, I want to declare my love for Brianna, right?
Right.
And I want to climb something really adventurous like Mount Everest, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. You and I are going to climb to the top of the tallest building in the country, the Sears Tower.
Hold up, I thought you wanted to climb on top of Mount Everest.
Well, yeah, but Mount Everest is so far away and cold. The Sears Tower is right here in Chicago. Plus, the stairs are indoors.
So you want to declare your love to the Sears Tower. Good thinking.
No, man. Listen.
What?
Once we climb to the top of the Sears Tower, then we, you and me, can declare my love for Brianna by hanging a big old banner for her to see.
Oh. How high is the Sears Tower?
110 stories.
Ah, you let me know how it turned out.
Nah. You come with me. Let's go. Man, but okay, man, I gotta go, man.
Welcome to the Kenan Kel with Adam and Aaron show. I'm Adam.
And I'm Aaron.
And we are going all the way back to June 29th, 2020, as we redo things the Hemingway.
What does that mean, Adam? Whatever does that mean to all of the new listeners?
All the new listeners, 105 episodes in. It means that we are revisiting the third episode of Kenan and Kel. And we're basically approaching what our yearly/life goals were that we set up back in our Clifford episode at the top of 2024.
Yes.
Aaron, how has your 2024 been?
What kind of question is that? That's not what I was expecting. Before I answer that horrible and crazy question, no, I'm just kidding. It hasn't been that bad. But let's see. What I wanted to say was, if you have been listening to the program for a while, you'll know that this episode is the number one cross-referenced episode in all of our shows. We've done 105 episodes. We probably have referenced this episode at least 20 times.
Oh, at least 20. I don't have the stats, Aaron, but I feel like 75% of the regular review episodes we mentioned
It might have been a little higher than 20.
For no reason. It just kept. I think it became a gag that we just kept seeing things that reminded us of this episode. Which, having gone back and rewatched it, Aaron, I gotta say, not a remarkable episode.
What? But Adam, it's just like Ernest Hemingway's books. Though they might not have been remarkable, they were remarkable in the time that they were read to a lot of people.
Yeah, right.
Right?
In the time that we watched it for our show, it was very formative.
Exactly. I mean, the show starts with Chris walking on stage with a mullet. And it was also June 9th, 2020, as you just said. I mean...
29th.
June 29th, 2020. I mean, for the listeners out there, just place yourself in there. Oh, wait, don't!
4.5 years ago.
Oh, my... Middle of the pandemic.
Early pandemic, if you ask me.
Yeah, early pandemic.
We're bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. You wanted to be a... was it a math teacher?
I didn't want to be a math teacher. It was forced upon me by the fate of the universe and my inability to make a decision for my life. Kind of like this episode.
Yeah. Aaron, you... listening back to our episode, we talked about life goals. I had back then. Do you have any idea what your life goal might have been 4.5 years ago?
In 2020? Oh my gosh. Probably to write a book. Was that in there?
No, but that was one of the more recent ones. Your life goal was to do a backflip. You said in 6 months from now.
6 months.
In 6 months from now, I want to be able to do a backflip for whatever I want.
Wow. I mean, that was really a moment in time.
How are you on the backflip journey? Are you still at the start of the line?
Well, considering the other day I was doing the dishes and I sliced my hand on a coconut milk can.
Oh no.
My proprioception, my coordination has just gone down. I also suffered my first adult injury this year.
Oh, so your back, your knees?
No, I like sprained my foot. Not my ankle, but my foot.
Oh, yeah, that is... Wow. You're really getting up there.
I was hobbling around on crutches, yeah.
4.5 years ago, you are now the age that I was when we started the podcast.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
Whoa.
Now you feel the way I felt.
Just constantly, like hoping that life will not continue to go downhill.
You said another thing that you declared on the show is that you said my New Year's resolution, because this show reminded you a lot of New Year's resolutions, is to watch this episode every January 1st.
Spiritually, I have.
Spiritually have, okay. Well, that's good. I think in a way you have, just in the fact that we've gone back through it so many times.
Yeah, it's a good New Year's resolution, New Year's time episode, which is why everybody's listening to it right now.
Yeah, which is why we did the whole theme of this year. Let's see. So what I talked about in terms of like life goals,
And this is way back 4 years ago.
4.5 years ago. Yeah, I wanted to get a short story published before I turned 30.
Okay.
So are you already knock a year and a half off that?
So you did it.
Well, I mean, so at the time,
Sorry, I'm
I was,
not laughing at you.
No, it's fine.
At your failure. No, I'm kidding. We're all failures here.
At the time, I was submitting to the Writers of the Future contest.
Right.
I saw I had 12 opportunities to submit to them before I turned 30.
Right. That's what you did. You write. You started to write. Making a really bad writing joke.
Time to write is what I said.
Right.
I submitted to them, I think, 8 times, and of those 8, 6 I received different kinds of honorable mentions. 3 regular honorable mentions and 3 silver honorable mentions, which is pretty cool. You get, on a list on their website, and if I did a little bit better, I would have gotten been a runner-up.
Well, that's pretty good. Honorable mentions is pretty good.
Yeah, I went from, call it the top 100. I got the top 100 about 6 times.
That's great. You submitted something. I think that's the most important part.
Oh, yeah. And I wanted to turn a couple of the stories I submitted into an audiobook series this year.
Right.
That was one of my 3 goals. 2024, we decided that, hey, we're going to talk about this episode again at the end of the year. Let's do something fun and make some life goals for ourselves.
Yes, exactly.
Which one do you want to talk about first?
Okay, so we're going to get right into it. Should we remind the guests what Kenan and Kel's life goals were in doing things the Hemingway and where this whole concept comes from?
Kenan was inspired by Ernest Hemingway in the same way that the writers of this episode, Kevin and Heath, were inspired by their grade school and college levels of exploring the works of Hemingway. They were to set life goals. Ernest Hemingway wanted to, according to Kenan, plant a tree, bear a son, and fight a bull.
Right.
Kenan's life goals that he established were to save someone's life, declare his love for a woman, and climb something adventurous, like at Mount Everest.
Right. So you have Kenan and Kel who are, talking in Rigby's, and then they're brainstorming, and they're like, well, we want to live adventurous lives. We want to go and make something of ourselves. And then they come up with very, just like do a backflip. They came up with high school level, ambitious, achievable goals.
Mm-hmm. And the whole moral of the episode that they literally say in the curtain at the end is that, we shouldn't rush through our lives to accomplish our life goals.
Mm-hmm. Right, because Kenan tries to do it all in an afternoon.
Basically. he says, it's only been one day and I haven't accomplished all my life goals yet.
Which is such a good line.
But inspired by that, we wanted to ourselves see, hey, let's write some life goals and see if we can do them in a year.
And so now we're here to revisit our goals, our more recent goals. Mm-hmm. Although I have to say that I have not done a backflip yet. Oh. And I think it's just simply, it's getting to the stage of being too dangerous to even. Yeah. Anyways, it's right now it's too dangerous. We'll see what can happen as I continue my physical journey through this embodied Earth experience. Why don't you start, because you definitely accomplished some of them. So
let me say at the top here. So despite my many attempts at Writers of the Future,
right,
I did not get published in anything. I have so in the episode, Kel he tries to put 38 grapes in his mouth to accomplish a goal, but only gets 34. So he changes his goal, which I think is an honorable thing to do. And I kept trying to do that, and let me tell you, I scratched this one off a lot. It used to be like, okay, I'm not going to publish my whole audiobook. Let me just do one chapter. And when I didn't get around to doing that either because of other goals, then it just became like, oh, what if I were to... I have a really good rebuttal for the Kenan Kel wiki. They get some stuff wrong. I want to publish something that corrects it so I can cite that and fix it. That didn't happen either. So it remains an elusive goal for me.
So Adam, I have a way that you could, scratch this itch. So what if you just read it out loud to yourself? You just sat down and you read it, gosh darn it.
Aaron, I think I have an idea. You know how we publish different episodes of this podcast?
Yes.
Yeah, on a semi-monthly basis.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can get a transcript of this one. I wonder if I can hit the transcript button and publish this so that, in a way, I'm releasing something out there
let's do it. Yes.
That we penned.
So every word we say will be transcribed.
Yeah, and I don't know why we would do this, but
we need to. It has to be done.
For the people that can't hear the show, they can read the show and start at 105th episode.
I'm going to start prophesizing. Just because now that I know this will be... this will go on in infamy.
That was the top of my list.
Right. That was the top of your list. Adam, it's okay. Because the number one on my list was to write a book, which has been on my heart since we recorded it the first time. And I really thought this was the year, and it wasn't. It wasn't the year.
And that's okay.
And that's okay, right. In the last episode, I talked about how, I've probably listened to 10 books on how to write a book.
Yeah.
And, I finally have gotten to the point where I'm ready. But as I was just, refreshing my listening, and I've been listening to a book about writing a book, but not just like the past couple days. But it's not, I don't want to just write a book. I want to write a classic book. Yeah, I want to write a timeless book. And this book talks about that. And one of the things the author says is wouldn't you rather focus on writing something that's long lasting than just something that checks a box? And I feel like it's very much like Kel.
There's a misquoted Miyamoto, he's a video game guy, quote about how a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad.
Yes.
So.
And that's what, what I felt from this book is that I kind of am writing it. There's a series of lessons that I want to reflect on. Mm-hmm. Little kind of mementos or, spiritual koans or, these little tiny things I want to reflect on. And I feel like in the whole process of me wanting to write the book, I have been learning these lessons firsthand instead of just talking about them. It's kind of been like a manifestation in that way. Not that I'm all into that stuff, but I think we make our reality around us. And so I think that's been happening for me as I've been wanting to write this book. It's like I keep on learning the lessons as I think I'm ready.
Aaron, I've been someone that for many years has wanted to write. I did NaNoWriMo back when I was 19.
Right.
12 years ago. It's something that's always been on my mind and on my heart. And the nice thing about aging is that you become a better writer as you become a better, a person.
Yeah.
Just by living, you experience more of the world and you pick up different perspectives. You are becoming the kind of person that will one day write.
Right.
Even if that's not happening for you now. And let me tell you, I put the time in when I had the time. Like back in April, I went to a writers' summit.
I remember this.
Yeah, I got some notes from them. I got like all kinds of worksheets and stuff. But they're being in a sea of like hundreds of wannabe writers like myself. It was very discouraging.
Yeah, sure.
I did not feel like I was learning anything important in those rooms. I feel like I was getting fleeced.
Yeah, right.
The writers of our family, us, are going to make it happen by living, not by meditating.
Right, I think that's true. We're also not going to buy how to write a book in 30 days, like crash course. How to get rich quick. It is a get rich quick scheme. A lot of these things, and good writing takes a long time. It's a slow cooker. It's not a microwave.
I saw a terrible, awful, horrible video series about people trying to make passive income.
Yeah,
and like the different methods for it and stuff like that. And it just made me say, like, you know what? I've been trying to do this for my whole life. like since I like got on YouTube as a teen. Like I've been trying to pull off that stuff. And it's just you have to make sure you're doing it for you and not as
always
some kind of just misguided attempt at a side gig.
Right. The book I'm reading right now is Perennial Seller by Ryan Holiday. And he says that in the book. He's like, if you are writing to get rich or famous, you will fail. Like, so many people have tried. It has literally never worked once. You need to write for you. And the reason you're writing needs to be something that transcends your own ambitions to be known or recognized or established. Writing is one of those things where it is never pretty. And the people who are trying to make passive income from you buying their program about how to make passive income or how to write a quick book, you can't trust them. I've done enough of those things earlier on than now, but you can't rush something that's good. So anyways, I didn't write the book yet, but it's kind of fitting into the ecosystem of my creative pursuits that are kind of on the horizon. So the book and the writing are all kind of fitting into this thing that I'm working on.
10 years ago or so, when writing was like my main creative outlet. So that's where I put a lot of my energy. But around that time, I shifted gears, and my second life goal for this year was to run 10 great D&D games.
Yeah. How did it go? I remember in January you had 2, and then you kept sending me good positive updates pretty early in the year.
This was achieved
nice.
In the first half of this year.
Nice. 10 good games in 6 months.
Yeah, I think across the whole year I got 12 games out there.
Nice.
My most recent one it was a bit of a creative struggle, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, this is the kind of goal that I set my mind to. I said, okay, for various reasons, the first half of this year is the time to do this. Mm-hmm. Let me try and do at least one a month. It was like a tour of all my different friend groups and stuff like that. There was like cousins that I would get together with to play. There was like local friends I used to play D&D with, but I haven't for a while. I'm like, hey, come on, I'm going to run you guys a one-shot.
That's awesome.
Alex and her friends, like we've played like maybe once a year. I'm like, we got to make that happen now.
Wow, it was like coming together of all of these different like people from different parts of your life.
It was, and it was a bit of I want to say like a goodbye tour to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I definitely burned the candle really fast during that period of time. I think I'm still recovering from the number of games that I had.
Was it worth it?
Oh yeah, we all had really great adventures. Like I said, I want them to be great games. I didn't want to like trick myself and say like,
right.
Hey, it was an okay game. They were 10 really great games.
That's awesome.
If I made the top 20 games ever played, I think they would be on the bulk of that list.
Wow. So when you run a really good game, I don't really know how it works. I've played, I think, once with you guys. Can you publish those? I mean, how does it work to run a game?
I'm going through the head right now. One of those games is published.
Okay. Well, I mean, hey, that counts.
Yeah, sure. We recorded for Finding Monster Rights
nice,
like a series of games that
nice.
I play with Allie and my friend Ben. So that was a really fun time. But other ones, honestly, a lot of it was just captured at the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't roll out the recording equipment and such for it. It's
Right.
just it's let's spend 4 real good hours here with some buds.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you don't need to turn it into something, for when you're just there with people, and yeah, you're just you've created it for that moment, and that's kind of the beauty of it. It kind of is, it's ethereal.
Yeah, and here I go dissing on side gigs because it's like the time will come when I feel like I'm going to make something out of this, like a setting guide for other people or something like that. But in the meantime, it's just I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
It's like it became a really great just a reason to get out there and see just everyone.
Well, it's cool because it gave you a reason to get together with people in a fun way, and it was also like a goodbye tour. You like kind of closed a chapter of your life in a way, and not saying that you can make another good D&D game, but do you want to share why your time has dwindled, your free time to yourself?
Yeah, well, this is no surprise. I don't know why we're treating it like a surprise. We've talked about it several times, but my third life goal was to bear a child.
Yes.
And, just like Ernest Hemingway, that happened in July. I have a lovely baby boy who is my heart and joy, big and healthy, and he's been definitely soaking up all my love and hours.
Yes, and that's as it should be. You don't want to ignore your son at the expense of D&D.
I play all the fun games during the first half of the year, and the second half of the year, I'm a dad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so that way, I think the goodbye thing is really, it's something, I don't know, I admire that because it's hard, when you go through different phases of your life. Most people never really bookmark them. You kind of just transition, and then you're like, oh, I never really said goodbye,
I'm very happy that I did that.
Yeah.
Just to see all these people, that is hard to do now.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, it was the hardest part about the pandemic, was like, especially being a senior in college who was on a sports team. It was like there wasn't really a goodbye. So that was hard, but it's nice to say goodbye, and then because then you can more fully welcome in the next member of the family.
The Office episode where Michael leaves and he wants to have a real good moment with everybody.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And for him, his life goes on, but it means that you have to flag those moments when they come. I think it's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And so you 2 goals. One was to combine woodworking and birding.
Yes.
By making a birdhouse and welcoming birds into your backyard.
Yes. Okay. So this was a woodworking goal. I wanted to make a birdhouse, and then I wanted to make a bird feeder and put them in my backyard and create a welcoming environment in my backyard. Mm-hmm. Well, I made a birdhouse successfully.
Yes.
And it was cool. I made it out of wood. I found it at a yard sale, and it was actually made out of walnut and pine. It was really, really cool and neat looking. Followed a guide online, and yeah, it was awesome. And I gave it away. So I didn't keep it. I was like, oh, I'll make a second one for myself. Well, I made got all the pieces together, but I never assembled it. And that second one was going to go in the backyard, but it didn't quite happen. The bird feeder also didn't happen. I do have a bag of bird seed just kind of sitting in my apartment. But what I will say is that I did create, the backyard has been in good shape all year. And we even had a little party back there earlier this year. And it's just, it's been a nice environment. And so I think if the goal was to create a welcoming environment in the backyard, that was achieved.
Yes. Your goal was also, if I recall, you were inspired by Klaus.
Yes.
the animated film. And I think, in a way, giving away the bird...
That's right.
The birdhouse is being super duper
Yeah, right, exactly.
Like Klaus.
I got a lot of joy out of making it for somebody else, knowing that while I was making it, it was going to be for this other person. So yeah, I'm happy with that one. I know it's just the start of my woodworking adventures, but it was a whole journey to acquire, because I had some tools gifted to me last Christmas, but then there were some things I still needed. And so as I was like, I went to Lowe's to buy a hand planer, which is actually like not, you know, I want to do a lot of like hand stuff. I don't want to just do everything machine. Well, as I was leaving the Lowe's, I ran over a splinter in the parking lot and it popped my back tire. And it was in Lowe's, like in the parking lot. And I'm like, well, this is ridiculous. Like they just clearly had debris. So I went inside and like, you know, I kind of threw a fit a little bit. And these people were being so rude to me. But then eventually somebody's like, yeah, we can file a claim. And I'm like, yes, I want to file a claim. So I actually got my tire reimbursed to the tune of $181.
Dang.
So that was awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was like very early in the year, and so I
But now, did you keep the splinter? Did you like? Is that now like?
I have a
piece
picture.
Of...
Did I keep the splinter? It might be somewhere. I probably did keep it. Actually, that was the first time I challenged the illegal system this year. I had a parking ticket that I challenged as well. I like went to the court.
Wow.
Like yeah, and I had a public defender and everything. Long story short, I won.
Nice.
But it wasn't because I actually won. It was because they misaddressed the court summons to Camille.
4.5 years ago, you were talking about how big you're getting it on Better Call Saul.
Yeah, exactly.
And it seems like you have taken that aspect in your life.
It was cool, you know. It was like I went, you know, I live in Wilmington, Delaware, and this is where like, you know, you hear the thing about like, oh, they took Elon Musk to court. It's like it was that courthouse. It was like,
wow.
like the corporate courthouse, like in Wilmington. Yeah, it was cool. It was like, you know, like I mean, this brand new beautiful building of like, you know, so many floors of like legal offices. It was fascinating experience. Anyway, that's what I won. I won a parking ticket. I did that. That was one of my goals. Well, it wasn't a goal, but
your woodworking journey inspired you in a bunch of different ways.
I did so. It did exactly. Yeah. So even if you start on the goal, you don't know where it's going to end. But
yeah, you found wins along the path that you weren't even expecting.
Yes, and whistles and clanking of birdhouses in the trees.
Finally, your last goal was to finish planning your wedding with your fiance Camille.
Yes. It was to finish planning the wedding. And I am happy to say that we are going to get started planning our wedding in the next couple weeks. It's been a busy year. Oh, it's been a busy year.
Where does the year go, right?
Where does it go? Here. Let me just. Okay. So instead of saying the wedding, like planning the wedding, here are a couple things that we did instead. So one of them was we went to Brazil to celebrate her sister's wedding. So that was awesome. Okay.
And that's like, you know, that's taking notes out in the field, you know?
Oh, I mean, it was real research. Yeah. Like boots on the ground. So that took up a lot of like time and energy and, you know, she was the maid of honor. So there was, you know, we were involved in that.
You gotta get the inside scoop.
So the other thing we did was in the summer, right around when your son was born, there was a pregnant stray cat that showed up on our porch. And did I tell this story in the last episode?
I think you did, yes.
Okay. Well, long story short, if you didn't listen to last time, we were adopted by a pregnant stray cat. It gave birth to 4 kittens in our apartment. And that was a whole thing, getting those kittens adopted and making sure the cat was healthy and taking them to the vet. But we got all the kittens and the mom adopted. So that was another thing that happened this year. That was like bearing a son. And I will say, in my defense, it has been a very busy year at work. We've had our best year ever. I don't want to just, you know, blame work, but it's true.
That's something to celebrate.
Yeah, definitely. And one of our programs in, you know, at Water is Life Kenya, we were raising money for tree planting in Kenya.
Oh.
So one of Ernest Hemingway's original life goals is to plant a tree. Well, I helped raise $10,000 to plant trees in Kenya this year. How about that?
Regardless of certain shortcomings, we have indeed done things the Hemingway.
That's what I'm talking about.
Nothing left to do but talk about the episode real quick.
Let's do it.
Rewatching it this time, I have a couple things to say. BET Plus is the app that I was talking up last time. I said, thank God someone finally has all the episodes of Kenan Kel. They're mostly all there. Oh my God, the quality looks so good. It is sliced and diced. It's very...
Oh no.
It hurt my soul a lot. Like, there's a really long 6 minute and 22 second, as you pointed out our last time we talked about this episode. There's a scene in Rigby's that, like, in the heart of this episode, that just so many things happen. Like, you know, that's the one where with Brianna and Ethel Quagmire, and they go into the back room, and Kenan breaks up, and then they go into the front, and then they talk about their goals and all this stuff. All that happens.
Like the whole episode, right?
Yeah. That's broken up in the middle. There's a commercial break. They cut out half of the scene of Kenan and Kel climbing up the stairs, like the part where where Kel pulls out the bowl with all the fruit in it. So it just cuts to them like crying, and they're at the top of the tower, and Kel's like, "I really wish I could use some fresh juice." It doesn't make any sense because I'm just like, well, "Where's the bowl?"
Where's the pre-line, or you know, the whatever you call it,
the preamble to that. So I immediately after watching it canceled my BET Plus subscription.
Oh no! Oh gosh! Oh, get it right, BET Plus.
Give me all of Kenan and Kel, or give me none of it. You know, I don't want to see this chopped job.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry you had to experience that. That's
Yeah.
no way to watch Kenan and Kel.
One of these days, I'll find the way to watch Kenan and Kel, and I'll tell you and all of our fans about it.
I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I hate to say it.
Still out there, fantas. I'm looking for anyone that has dubiously acquired, wonderful quality versions of the show.
Adam, I was about to prop up Paramount Plus.
Mm-hmm.
But as we're talking, I'm clicking through the episode, and I got to the commercial break. It is a 2-minute long commercial break in the middle of the episode. So it's really impacting our viewers' experience right now. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling Wesley has most of them, but we might need to fly across the pond to watch them.
They're region locked, is what they are.
How fun would that be if we just flew over there for a week and we just watched all the Kenan and Kel and hung out with Wesley?
But like my goals of climbing the stairs of the Sears Tower dressed as Kel. It feels like there's more and more distance going between myself and them. So highlights of this episode. Kenan and Kel look young as hell.
They look so young and youthful.
It's funny seeing how fresh-faced they are. What's it? Chris has the 3 bananas for $1 sign of this one.
It does not look like bananas.
Kenan's parents talk about what they're watching Casablanca. And it's the first movie they ever saw, which I still think is totally crazy.
Kel's talking about how old the movie is.
Yeah.
It's old. I mean, ancient.
Yeah. Last time I did the math on that there's a 17-year difference between Ken Foree and Teal Marchand. Teal's basically as Mrs. Rockmore playing an older character. But in this episode, she's acting and she's 31 years old, my age. So that's pretty wild. And I'm watching this, I'm like, wow, I'm the age of someone playing Kenan's parent.
Right, and you've always identified more with Kenan and Kel.
And I feel like I'm a parent now. So it's really funny how that lines up.
One day your son is going to say, you used to watch this show? This show is old. This show is ancient.
Yeah, that's what he's going to say. Roger complains about salt making him puffy from the popcorn. What does puffy mean? What do you think it means? What is
you swell up, like you're all bloated, or after Thanksgiving dinner, if you feel like you're I don't know, water, you retain more water,
Yeah, I guess. Is it weird that I always pictured the face when I think of puffy? I think of inflated cheeks and
I think that happens too.
I think of allergic reaction as a puffiness.
Yeah, no, puffy is definitely a quality of just eating too much salt. Because more salt and you have higher blood pressure, and then the higher blood pressure will press on the veins and blood vessels, and then it will, make you seem a little bit puffier than you are. Fighters, when they're cutting weight, they don't have any salt. Because salt, you retain water. because your blood needs to stay like in homeostasis. So more salt means more water. There's your science lesson for the day. I was amazed because like when I was teaching science and somebody asked me a question, I would just make up answers that were like adjacent to the truth, but never like perfectly accurate. But I think they got the gist.
Kel's main goal in this one that he accomplishes by the end of the episode is meeting an Eskimo, which I don't think that's a word that people use anymore.
I didn't think so either. And then I was watching Outdoor Boys.
Outdoor Boys? Are Outdoor Boys on the cutting edge of linguistics?
He's like
sensitivity.
I've heard it recently, and it's made me think like, oh, is this one of those words that you're not allowed to say?
I think the shift has been going to Inuit, just straight up.
Yeah, I think so. I wonder what the people of that culture say.
I'd love to get an actual weigh-in on it.
And I don't know if that's going to happen.
No.
Unless Kenan Kel with Adam Aaron is listened to in northern Alaska.
We have Alaska listeners.
Oh.
At some point.
Okay, everybody. Now is your time. Please send us an email, KenanKelPodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what we're supposed to be saying here.
Speaking of things that that don't fly nowadays, Kel making out with Ethel Quagmire is... We were iffy about this 4.5 years ago, but not just this. The Brianna stuff too was really, really bad. Not only how they treat her character, but just Kenan coming back into the store and kissing her, would never ever in a million years, even be considered on the table. Let alone.
It just kind of reminds me of like a 90s adult sitcom, like something like that would fly. And then this is kind of like, oh, it's just kids, but they treat them like adults.
Even this was still like a thing back in, I recall in Stranger Things, like season 2 or whatever. There's like the kids have a kiss at the end, and it was like, people online were going to stink about it. It's like, this was the first time they ever kissed anyone. How could the filmmakers do this to them? and stuff like that. And that felt like it was 10 years ago even.
Everything is changing how we view this stuff now. So I guess that's definitely for the better.
4.5 years, and can you imagine that we still haven't gotten a new season of Stranger Things?
I only watch Kenan and Kel and Better Call Saul. I think we all know this now.
Well, it is funny. We started this podcast when I was at my old apartment. And since then, I have seen all of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and moved. It's really funny how that happens.
That's pretty cool. Did you look at our Spotify Wrapped?
Yes, I did.
Well, anything notable?
I'm surprised by how many new listeners we get all the time. So I hope that this episode finds them and finds them well.
Well, I think maybe our show is a perennial seller, Adam. Maybe our show is a timeless masterwork.
Yeah, perhaps it is. They climb the Sears Tower. It's still awesome. The set at the top is great.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. How could you not think of this when you think about a tall building? That's what I think.
No, I think of this, and I think this is an episode that's really, the older I get, the more I'm like, I can't wait to show this to my son.
Yeah, it's such a classic episode. And then the stairwell scene is so good. He has all the stuff. That's the best gimmick.
I also have one more thing that I want to point out is that at the end, Brian shows up. You remember this?
Of course. I'm Brian.
Yeah. Our read when we last watched this episode was that he's mad.
Right.
But I think that watching it again, I think the read is that he's gay.
What?
I think the read is that because he has an earring in, he has like a ponytail, and I think that in the 90s that was that was code for Brian saw a sign for Kenan and is here as I saw you sent me a heart at the top of the tower.
Oh, the ponytail.
That was my read this time. We did say that the first go round, so I wanted to point it out.
That's great.
Good for Brian. Well, here's the thing. The episode ends with him and the Inuit guy on stage together. And I like to, in my head, canon, think that they went on to have a really, like, lovely relationship.
Yeah, I think, well, the thing about it, it's like, we go back and look at all of these different things that happened in this show. And I keep thinking back to our conversation with Kevin and Heath where, they said, like, well, what they would do is they would just they would film it once and then they'd film it again and then they'd film it again. And every time the actors got more and more into it, especially Kel, and they just enjoyed it so much. And it was a lot of work. But also, the actors got more and more into it. The writers were just trying to make a good show. And so they weren't thinking about people watching it, 20 years in the future, 24 years in the future. They were just thinking of how do we make a good show that, is going to resonate with kids today. And I think for the most part, pretty much everything resonated with kids back then. And yeah, clearly still resonates with us.
It's pretty cool how timeless this feels.
Yeah, they want to do something great with their lives. What a great premise for an episode.
Set goals is a thing that I think kids and adults and everyone should hear and do.
And practice. It's hard to set a goal, as we've demonstrated. You're going to miss the mark. Imagine if you never set any goal. You never get started. You just kind of stay stagnant. And I don't want to preach to our listeners, but I've personally just been struggling with what goal do I want to set? I don't want to set it too low. I don't want to set it too high. I want to make it achievable. I don't think we should shy away from goal setting if it hasn't worked for us the past few years. I guess that's what I'm saying.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And the lesson at the end of the episode was always like, hey, these are life goals. They're not day goals. They're not week goals. They're not year goals. So I think there will be a birdhouse in your future backyard.
Thank you, Adam. And I think there's going to be some audio projects published of yours in the future as well.
Real quick, I want to call out on that front. Next year, I don't want to make any promises for episodes from us. I have some fun ideas about how to take the show in a visual direction, but it all kind of relies on me, finding the time to start to capture this program, Kenan Kel, so that we can deliver it in a bunch of different ways. So when that happens, you'll hear from us first, Fantas.
Absolutely, and we will be continuing, this project to just talk about Kenan Kel, but also talk about life because the show is timeless and we're going through time. So it's fun to use Kenan Kel as a backdrop. For some of these things. Adam, do you want to make any goals for next year as we think about closing out this episode?
Any 2025 goals?
You don't have to if you haven't thought about it.
You know what? I do have one, but I'm going to keep it secret.
Okay.
When it comes up, I'll let you know.
Well, I have one, and I think I won't keep it secret because it's been secret too long. But Adam, when you were my age, you started a podcast with me, and I don't have a younger brother, so I am going to start a podcast of my own, and that has been in the works, and it will be coming in 2025. I can't make any promises, but I will be starting a podcast this next year. And I will be releasing regular episodes.
Well, make sure you share it with me and the Fantas.
I absolutely will. You will be hearing about it soon. It's important to have creative projects, and I think if you start a creative project, or if you start creating in one form, it can kind of bleed into other forms of creativity too. So that's what I'm hoping. I really liked when we were recording every week because it was like, here's the thing we're doing, and it just helped have that momentum continue. So
it's a good momentum builder, a good thing to hang your hat on.
Yeah, and I admired how we showed up every week without fail, even when we didn't feel like it. So
look forward to hearing that and hearing from us at some point in the future.
I hope everybody has a great year.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays. And until next time, here it goes.
Thank you for listening. You can send us an email at KenanKelPodcast@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at anchor.fm/KenanKelPodcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all at Kenan Kel Podcast.
Probably in one of my boxes. Wait, let me check this one box. It might be right here. Let's see. It's not in this box.
Okay. Just making sure.
But I probably did. That's what I'm talking about. It doesn't need to be as you set it out, as you said it. But you know what I'm saying. It doesn't need to be exactly how you dreamed it up when you set out on this journey. But that you started is what matters.
Well, I'm cutting that out. You didn't say that well at all.
I want that little soundbite of you saying that, just like as your like text message tone.
It's gonna be after the episode. Don't worry, you can find it there.
Great.